Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and before I start, if you hear someone typing, that is because my wife is in the room. You're welcome to say hello. She's in the room. Normally I don't do videos while my family's listening, but occasionally I do. And they're astounded by how good I am at this. Is that right or wrong? No. Yeah, right. She's being sarcastic. Okay. I want to start here. It says this is an article about Circle's stablecoin, talking about how it'll be the biggest beneficiary, or one of the biggest beneficiaries of the MiCA regulations that are the stablecoin regulations coming in Europe. But we do know of another that will be the greatest beneficiary, and that would be Real USD, that's about to be released by Ripple. But both of them, my sponsor linked to. Both of them, their private equities on the platform, linqto.com. Go check it out. Now, moving along, the biggest news to hit in the last 24 hours was this. Yesterday evening, I was sitting here watching TV, and Consensus comes out with this, where they said that Ethereum survives the SEC. They announced that... And just so you know, the way, just to remind everybody how this happened, my understanding is that the SEC sent Consensus a Wells notice and sent many people around the development of Ethereum Wells notices, and then Consensus turned around and sued the SEC, like preemptively sued them, because a Wells notice is what you get before the SEC sues you. So now the SEC basically has sent them a letter. Let me see if I pulled the letter. I think I did. It's right here. They sent them this letter basically saying, in the matter of Ethereum 2.0. And also remember, they did not sue Ethereum because they can't. They did not sue Ethereum for anything that happened before they merged into Ethereum 2.0, because you and I both know that is EthGate, and that's where all the bodies are buried. That's where all the corruption is. So they couldn't investigate them for that part, because they knew the second they did that they had been in bed with all these Ethereum people from the ICO all the way until 2020, when Ripple was sued, when the SEC intentionally sued Ripple as they walked out the door. So this is all having to do with 2.0, and I believe that they filed, they did the Wells notice for over 2.0 just so they can make it look like, oh, see, we kind of sort of went after them. It wasn't just Ripple. You and I know better now. And I'm going to go back to right here. My first reaction to this was, to Consensus was, so you didn't have to spend over $100 million and go through over 3 years of a back and forth case against the SEC the way Ripple did? They just, for a couple of months, they had sent you a Wells notice, and now they're saying, we've decided not to sue you at all. Yes, that's the correct answer, folks. And the guy who with Dragon Chain actually replied to what I said with this. 6 years in running for us. The U.S. government is made up entirely of traitors that hate the citizens. Now, we can't cover this topic because, look, and I said all along, this was not about attacking Ethereum itself, the whole EthGate thing and all that. It was never about that. All we ever asked for is, look, level playing field. Let's let XRP, let Ethereum, let Bitcoin, let all these things thrive out there, and let the innovation go, and the best technology win. But that's not what they wanted to do. This was regulatory capture. It was designed to try to stop the better technology. That's what this has all been about. Now, so I wanted to point out that, yes, and really I won't even necessarily say that that Ethereum being let go is good for crypto. It might be good for prices and good for the markets in the short run. But what you can't forget is what EthGate really is communist China. That's what you can't forget. Because ultimately behind all of this, they were the ones that were the major people in Ethereum from the very get-go. And that's why none of these people want to even talk about this. Okay? So, because all these roads lead back to communist China. Okay? That's what all the people say, oh, EthGate's over. Those people would have you think that. But if you're an American, you should be concerned about it, because that is the truth. It's not me talking, that's a bunch of people talking. I want you to listen to this. This guy right here, Brian Costello, is an expert on the CCP. I want you to listen to what he says, we'll start at about the 7-minute mark. This was a Spaces that was done by Mr. Intuitive, who is the official cool guy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. He did this a while back.
Friends, right? The deal, the investigation into Apollo got killed, related to like Jared Kushner. There was a whole bunch of stuff. They were basically gone in there to cover up kind of everything that was happening under Biden and make sure the capital kept flowing from China, because they all had big China bets and everything else. So that went on. I mean, I know I put a multi-billion-dollar fraud in front of those guys, and they know the principles in front of it, and like nobody has denied that these are crimes, and they did nothing about it. You know, and it involved one of the principals from Sequoia. You know, so I was kind of shocked when I wasn't shocked when they cleared the way for Ether, because they wanted to create, and I think a lot of people conflate these two things, and they can be unrelated, right? They wanted to clear the path for the China IPOs. They needed to not reveal China frauds because they needed to keep the door open. They needed to make sure there was regulatory clarity on Bitcoin and Ether, because a lot of the stuff they thought would go public was, you know, hardware infrastructure related that would also run blockchain technology. You know, as Wall Street and the financial markets and payments and all this stuff got overhauled with the underlying blockchain technology, which they kind of believed in. So they needed to cover up China frauds. They needed to make sure there was a clear path. And this is the way their friends on Wall Street were going to make money, and they were going to get their quid pro quo going back in the private sector. So it's very clear. Like, I don't think anybody would kind of argue this. You know, in the meanwhile, China had all its stuff going on, and you know, one of the guys that was driving the Chinese digital currency strategy was Neil Shen from Sequoia. He was pitching through this important Chinese body this whole idea of, you know, Hong Kong should have its own currency, China should have all of Asia, they should have a basket coin that converts, and that was kind of covered in 2020, I think pretty well. And so my theory, and this is my theory, is that on Clayton's way out, I believe there were some seriously things done wrong there, and everybody wanted to go after Trump world, and he was worried, and that this whole, you know, file the suit on his way out the door, there were no intentions of doing it. I mean, everybody said Hinman kind of pushed it. I still don't know exactly why Hinman would have been pushing that, but ultimately that's Clayton's decision. I mean, Clayton voted with 2 Democratic commissioners on the way out the door. So you can only conclude one thing from that he was appeasing Democrats. And the only place the Democrats haven't gone after the Trump administration is at the SEC.
Right. My theory has always been, I mean, that's purely a theory, but I'll just say this. What do we know about the Chinese Communist Party? We know that they lure our businessmen and they lure our politicians over there and they blackmail them. Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman both helped take Alibaba public. They were the 2 guys involved with that more than anybody. And I've always wondered how much time they spent over in communist China in that process. I'm not saying they were blackmailed. I'm just saying they spent an awful lot of time over there, I'm sure. And we know what the Communist Party's up to. So anyway, but I want to make sure everybody's clear. The XRP Unleashed documentary is coming. So if you think that because the SEC did not investigate what is really EthGate has nothing to do with Ethereum 2.0 and after, which is all that they looked into. It has nothing to do with that. EthGate is from the ICO, in my opinion, it's from the ICO all the way to the point that the SEC drops the lawsuit on Ripple and walks out the door. That's EthGate. All this other stuff's a distraction. So anybody that's saying because of this that, oh, well, that means EthGate's not a thing, no, has nothing to do with it. But I did say maybe Gary will send himself a Wells notice now to make it look like he's investigating his part in the Steele dossier. There you go. Then here's Trump talking about crypto again.
To further secure America's future and create opportunity for young people, I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto. We will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. Otherwise, other countries are going to have it.
All right. Now, I have myself a little theory about this Ethereum thing. And that is, we know all the shade that went on with Ethereum from the ICO and the disguised whales and all of that. And we know that the whole SEC going after Ethereum 2.0 was a distraction away from where the real bodies were buried, which is EthGate, which is from the ICO all the way to the Ripple lawsuit. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the exact same day that they announced that the Ethereum investigation's over is the same day that they try to draw your attention to Tether and how Tether might be a target because Tether's involved in terrorist financing and fraud and all of the different stuff. I don't think that's an accident. I think they want to draw our eyes as fast as possible to Tether, but my eyes are drawn to all of it. This is a literal commercial that was running from the about Tether yesterday. And I wrote this out. The SEC clears Ethereum and the disguised Chinese communist whales just as crypto trains their focus on Tether corruption. Timing is everything. And then this Ryan Selkis, he keeps ramping up his rhetoric. I'm fascinated by some of the things he's saying right now. He says, destroying the SEC and humiliating Gary Gensler before helping send him to prison and potentially winning his horse farm will have to rank as one of the winningest wins of all time, right? Offense. This guy, that's the third time that Ryan Selkis has said not that he's going after the chairman of the SEC, but that that the chairman of the SEC is going to go to prison next year and that he's going to try to buy his horse farm. And the inference is that he's going to buy it at a foreclosure auction or something. I mean, wow. All right, and now for a little bit about what is going on with Ripple. And he says, I can't wait for those NDAs to be lifted.
Working with them on that technology and then also working with them on the policy, which is going to be a big element on the success factor. I'll take a pause there and let my fellow panelists say something.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, which central banks in which countries are you working on or working with?
We're working with many of them. You know, they're mostly under non-disclosure agreements. So I'm not at liberty to share the details, but I would say, you know, we are working with them in each continent apart from Antarctica. You know, the study by the Bank for International Settlements estimates, I think 80 to 85% of central banks are doing some work. We're at different stages. I mean, we have some active projects, and then we have some.
Why not work? That's disappointing. They're not working with anybody in Antarctica. So anyway, okay, in DAIXRP.com, here's what we're going to talk about. Since Tether has been thrown in, we're going to talk about the things around Tether that we can't talk about out here on YouTube. You know, the things that have to do with people that live on islands and stuff like that. You know, people that had islands and did all kinds of bad things. Those are the kind of things we'll talk about inside of the group. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button. Tell your friends and family that we're going to talk a little bit about the island guy and Tether here in the group, and away we go.